Everybody, hope you guys are doing good today. Elijah and I are heading on down to Joplin to see my dad and cut a little bit of wood for the fireplace, and just wanted to do today's tip, not really tip, but more of a commentary, again on the Livescope. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm obsessed with this Livescope, but, and I keep saying that, I'm not going to beat it into the ground, but the more that I see this whole Livescope technology unfolding, the more that I realize that it's a part of fishing that it's a huge part of fishing that you simply can't deny anymore. It's going to be a huge part of fishing as long as the tournaments organizations allow it to be illegal. It's all this forward-facing sonar technology. So I realize that it's going to be a big part of our discussions moving forward when it comes to bass fishing. You just can't get around it. You can't just talk about Livescope one time and just not talk about it anymore. It's just too big of a factor. One of the things I want to talk about today was a comment that I heard Jacob Wheeler make. I was reading I can't remember where I was reading it. It was some comment that he was talking about Livescope, and I'll tell you a little bit what he said on there. But first of all, about Jacob Wheeler, in my opinion, Jacob Wheeler is probably the top bass angler on the planet right now. I had a chance to spend half a day in the boat with him several years ago, and the thing about fishing with Wheeler, as soon as you get in the boat with him, there's something special about that guy. He is on a completely different level as far as the way he views fishing, his approach to it, his passion, his knowledge, his intelligence. He's just better than everybody else. I mean, super nice guy, down to earth dude, friendly, really like him a lot. And so I'm going to preface that going into this. But anyway, I heard Jacob he was talking about Livescope, I think it was last week, and he made a comment that really, really, I loved him hearing this comment. I loved him saying it, and I really, appreciated him saying it, because he is, without a doubt, one of the top Livescopers in the country. He's been very successful at it. And he made a comment sort of alluding, or along the lines, I can't remember exactly how the quote went, but it was basically that you have to be really careful, because if you start relying on Livescope too much, it will burn you, and your ability to use your intuition and your instincts and to read the environmental conditions, the wind conditions, the water clarity, all that type of stuff. If you begin to rely on this Livescope too much, those other more primal aspects of your fishing are going to, deteriorate. They're going to atrophy, which is I've been saying all along. But to hear Jacob say that, it really struck me in a positive note, that I realized that this whole Livescope deal is eventually going to sort of pass into just another aspect of fishing. I really thought at first that it was going to be such a dominating force in our sport that, if you didn't have one or didn't know how to use one, you're just going to get left behind. But the more that I study this, and I've been studying this a lot, I'm sort of obsessed with this whole Livescope deal, because everybody knows that I'm not keen on that technology. I'm not keen on things that make the sport more expensive for people and that type of stuff, which is another story. But I've been real critical of it. But the more that especially after I heard Jacob say that, and the more that I analyze it, I really feel it's going to sort of it's going to go to the sort of along the lines of what the Alabama rig did. It was super hot at first, and then it just became another tool in the sport. And this should be a really good, a comforting thought to a lot of people out there, because if you're like me, I've got a family of 6 that I have to support. So, laying down $3,000 on a Livescope when you have a family to support is no small deal. That's a big deal. And there's just a lot of people who just can't afford that. And a lot of people, I think that they get, frustrated or down a little bit that they're going to get left behind with that. And that's not the case at all. I mean, remember what Jacob talked about as far as, the intuition and paying attention to the environmental factors and using a lot of those aspects to find fish. You can do that with 2D sonar. I mean, if you're one of those people out there that have been reading about Livescope and you can't afford to spend the money on it, or you don't want to do it, or you don't want to, go that direction in technology, don't feel bad like you can't compete. One of the things I always look back to is, like I said, last season on the Bassmaster Opens, I finished 13th in the points. I literally had enough fish hooked throughout the course of the season to have won the combined points total. I just lost the fish, and every single one of those bass that I caught in the tournament was caught by using 2D sonar only. I never caught one single bass with side imaging, with down imaging, with Livescope or anything. So you can compete without it. So don't feel intimidated, or don't feel like you're missing the boat if you don't have it. But anyway, just a quick commentary here. I wanted to share with everybody that comment that Jacob made, because it's just so true. I mean, it's absolutely true that you can take that technology and you have to know when to turn it on, and you have to know when to turn it off. And that's the big key with it. With anything in fishing, with any type of technique or approach or whatever, you have to know when to leave, when to stay, when to put it down, when to pick it up. It's just a matter of experience. And the more that I see this, even though I'm still against and resistant to that technology for a lot of different reasons I've discussed in past videos, I'm beginning to realize that the Livescope forward-facing technology is going to it's not going to be as big of a player as it currently is right now. There's going to be isolated tournaments and situations where it is, but overall, I think it's just going to become another tool. So anyway, just a few thoughts today, and hope you guys are doing good, and we'll talk to you later with another one. See ya.